Betmaker Show. This is the horse racing picks preview for the Oaklawn Mile at Oaklawn for Friday, April 10th, 2020. And now, live from Las Vegas, the host of the Betmaker Show, Brian Blessing.
All right, folks, always love talking horses with you. Brian Blessing in Las Vegas. And we're down to a handful of tracks, but the wagering opportunities that are presenting themselves now are things maybe you could pay attention to and apply in future races when hopefully in the summer months we get back up to having all these tracks running again. And we got a couple big races this weekend at Oaklawn Park that we'll get to. But I just tell you, the opportunity on a daily basis, the opportunities that present themselves, honestly, to me, the overlaid prices reside with cheaper horses because they only have so many good races in them, and they give you the tipping points of when they can run a good one. Or there's horses that are coming off a claim, and you get the change of human connections, be it a new barn, possibly a new rider, or possibly a combination of the two. And for example, race 7 on Friday, April 10th at Tampa Bay is a 5.5 furlong race. It's a $12,000 claimer, non-winners of 3 races, lifetime. So a lot of these are just horses that are plodding around. You know, they're only so good. They've got a true ceiling, the majority of them. But what you're trying to identify is somebody that figured something out, or maybe somebody new that figured something out. And that's the case with the number 9 Risen Charge with an 8-1 morning line price. It's a 5.5 furlong race. And I'm looking at this runner, and it'd be very intriguing to me to see how they bet this horse. Last time out, the horse was 23-1, but it was going first race off the claim for lower profile connections. The trainer's Tony Wilson, only 39 races, and has only won 5% of the time. And that's not great, but if you go a little deeper and you look, of those 39 races, his horses had 2 wins, 6 seconds, and 6 thirds. So all of a sudden, you know, here's a guy that's hitting the board, you know, more than 20% of the time. So he's not a high-profile guy. It could be a young guy, and I don't know, Tony Wilson. But it could be a younger trainer, you know, cutting his teeth. But his horses run relatively well. I mean, you're going to get a run for your money. Well, last time out, he claimed this 3-year-old filly. She's a daughter of Poseidon's Warrior. Claimed this one out of an $8,000 non-winners of 2 race. And that was coming off her maiden win. Well, you know, pretty good claim because the first race back, Wilson puts Leslie Maywing in the irons, and the horse wakes up in a big way. So first race off the claim, and he claimed the horse for $8,000. So the first race, he ups the horse to a $12,000 claiming race. He spotted something. So not only does he claim the horse, he's playing the money game. He puts the horse in tougher competition. So had the horse been claimed, he'd have picked up $12,000 and the winner's purse. Well, the horse wasn't claimed. So he paid $8,000 to get the horse, and the bottom line is he gets 60% of $12,500. I don't have the calculator in my head. It probably picks up close to what he paid for the horse. So everything he gets from this day forward is almost a free roll. And the horse won for fun from just off the pace and showed marked improvement, a career best. Now, a lot of times horses run a career best and they regress. But I just think this horse is feeling good. This guy was very astute on the claim. And I'm not buying the morning line price of 8-1. I can't see this horse going off 8-1. I think this horse takes money. So I think the horse could go off probably in the 7-2, 4-1 range. But the way you can make money is that'll surface when that race gets there, but you could play pick 3s in races leading into this horse. And I think you'd get a much better price, get an overlaid return on your investment. So the long story short is go between the lines, and you're always trying to think, what's the trainer doing, trying to make changes, and give his horse the best chance to win a race. But you also have to give this guy credit. He looks like a 5% trainer, but no, he's hitting the board 20+% of the time. And now the guy had a very astute claim. So honestly, I don't know much about Mr. Tony Wilson, but I'm going to start watching for him a little more because he got my attention there. And let's see if this horse runs back big. And I honestly, I think there's every chance that it will. For outstanding information and special offerings and promotions, we invite you and encourage you to sign up for our newsletter today simply by going to the website at betmaker.com. Now, on the weekend, there are a couple of big races at Oaklawn Park. You know, these are supposed to be the big days with the Derby preps. Well, there's only a handful of tracks running right now. So all of a sudden, a lot of good horses are going to be running at Oaklawn simply because there aren't that many races or big money races. Well, you get the race number 9. It's the Oaklawn Mile. The purse is $150,000, and this is a pretty solid field of 14. But boy, I'm telling you, there are 2 in this race that just stick out like a sore thumb. Honestly, number 3, Tom's d'Etat. Now, the only concern for me is this one's coming off a layoff back to the end of November. But this one's won 9 of 16 starts, won the Grade 2 Fayette in the slop at Keeneland, won the Grade 1 Clark, big race at Churchill Downs, you know, and beat great horses in a walk. I mean, if this horse is anywhere near capable of his best effort, I just don't see any way they beat this one. By the way, Joel Rosario's riding. Just 5 mounts at Oaklawn, 2 wins in 3 seconds, 40%, and Al Stahl's a terrific trainer. The only other one that and this one will take a truckload of dough just because it's Bob Baffert. And Baffert sends Drayden Van Dyke into the irons on the 14 Improbable. And this is a horse that finished 5th in the Kentucky Derby. Now, the one thing I would say, could this guy step up and run a monster race? And the answer is absolutely yes. First race is an older horse. First race is a 3-year-old. And you look, it was running the Preakness, the Derby, the Preakness, Pennsylvania Derby, Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, coming off the shelf. Every chance this horse with a lot of back class can improve. But boy, just every time Tom d'Etat, the number 3, went out, he has just run like a monster. So I'm loving, I think, the fact that Bob Baffert's there, and that's another way to play the game because Bob Baffert has a horse in a race. Bob Baffert's horse is going to take a truckload of dough. So you're actually going to get a really fair price on the horse you really like, and that's the number 3, Tom d'Etat. And then there's one other monster race. That's race 11 at Oaklawn Park, and this one, boy, I think you could throw a blanket over them, and there's a lot of really good horses in here. There's a 1 1/8, $200,000 stake race. Many of the horses were on the Kentucky Derby Trail running in the Rebel and the Southwest at Oaklawn Park, and then there are some invaders. The number 1 Basin, I just love the jockey, Francois Giroux. Now, Steve Asmussen, terrific trainer, but boy, he's hit it. I think he was like an 0 for 50 run at Oaklawn, one of the longest droughts of his career. And this one had a 2-race winning streak, snapped last time out, but caught a sloppy track in the Rebel. And I'm willing to draw a line through that and think just, if you get fast conditions here, I think Basin has an opportunity at 7-2 to put his best step forward. But then here's Baffert again. You got a son of Pioneer of the Nile, 1,000 Words, who been running in California 3 of the 4 races at Santa Anita. Basically, last time out in a Grade 2 San Felipe, first time this one didn't win a race. And, just Baffert alone, and he pumps those fast works into them out at Santa Anita, 7 furlongs, 125 and 1, 6 furlongs, 112 and 2. Lightning sled, rocket sled works for this one. You have to consider it. But again, I come back to Joel Rosario. If I was looking for one to upset the apple cart, it might be, another kind of California invader, but one that has races over the circuit here. And I think at 8-1, the price plays Tayshawn is the son of Twirling Candy, and it has a versatile running style. When Gate to Wire last time did show the ability when he won his maiden race to come from just off the pace. And I think the last race, you could say, oh, it was because of the slop. It could have been. But again, these 3-year-olds can change overnight. And I'm going on the premise that the 8 Tyshawn is the one on the improve. Baffert again is going to take the money, but the 2 I think can beat 1,000 words. The 4 are the 1 Basin and the 8 Tyshawn. So again, when you're doing this, you got to read between the lines. If you think a horse has to fall down to lose, don't be scared of the price. Bet it. But if you think the favorite has chinks in the armor, you absolutely have an opportunity to catch some overlaid numbers. And that could be the case in the big races this weekend at Oaklawn, and even on a claiming race on a Friday at Oaklawn. Always trying to find those overlaid prices. That's why we love horse racing so much.
Betmaker, let's make some money tonight.
Well, that's the Betmaker Show for now. We publish multiple times each week. We'd like to thank you for listening, and if you liked what you heard, please take a moment to leave a rating and review, or subscribe to our show feed, or share our show with a friend or two and help us grow the show. We very much appreciate it. Visit us on the web at betmaker.com. And reminder to sign up for the newsletter. Thanks to our engineer, Darren Vandermolen, and producer, Mike Gallivan. The Betmaker Show is a production of Cardinal Marketing Incorporated. Betmaker is a registered trademark. Any rebroadcast, reproduction, or other use of this content without the express written consent of Cardinal Marketing Incorporated is strictly prohibited.
The handicapping and sports odds information contained on this podcast is for entertainment purposes only. Please confirm the wagering regulations in your jurisdiction, as they vary from state to state, province to province, and country to country. Using this information to contravene any law or statute is prohibited. The podcast is not associated with, nor is it endorsed by any professional or collegiate league, association, or team. This podcast does not target and is not intended for an audience under the age of 18. If you think that you have a gambling addiction, stop this podcast now and please seek help.
Gambling and betting on sports is a form of entertainment and should be about having a good time. But when done excessively, it may negatively affect other areas of a person's life, such as their physical and mental health, school or work performance, finances, and or interpersonal relationships. At betmaker.com and the Betmaker Show, we're concerned about the addiction that gambling may cause, and for this reason, we encourage everyone to practice responsible gambling, an approach to gambling that helps you ensure that it remains an enjoyable activity. Here are the main principles of responsible gambling. Don't think of gambling as a way to make money. Always gamble with money that you can afford to lose. Set limits and stick to them. Never chase losses. Don't gamble when you're depressed or upset, and create a healthy balance. Always be aware of how much time you spend gambling or thinking about gambling. And do not allow gambling to cause you to miss out on time with family and friends or time spent on other activities you enjoy. By following these guidelines, gambling can be a good time and great entertainment. If you feel at any time that your gambling is taking away from important areas of your life, is causing you stress or depression, or is leading to financial losses that are beyond your control, please reach out for help. Learn more at responsiblegambling.org.